I'm flying back to LA today and I just can't stop crying. I don't want to go. I had such an amazing trip. I've met so many amazing people. I felt so loved. Obviously with my mom. It's just
A really disorienting place to be is coming back home after living abroad for a long time, because at least when you were abroad, it made sense that you didn't feel like you belonged. But going back home and feeling that is even more difficult because on the surface, everything is the same. Your hometown is the same, your friends are.
When Europeans first arrived in America, they expected famous cities, enormous landscapes, and iconic landmarks. But what surprised many of them most wasn't one particular place. It was the culture they encountered everywhere. American flags outside homes, patriotic symbols woven into daily life, and national pride openly displayed. In communities, businesses, and public spaces. For many European visitors, this was something they weren't accustomed to seeing so frequently back home. At first, some found it unusual. But after spending time in America, many started understanding that these small details represented something much bigger, a strong sense of identity, tradition, and connection to their country. And when they returned home, some realized they actually missed those moments, the flags, celebrations, and feeling that national pride was simply part of everyday life. Today, we're exploring the cultural differences that surprised European visitors most, and why some returned home seeing America in a completely different way. Let's get started.
America, you deserve and are owed an apology. And I'm going to say sorry on behalf of all the countries outside America and their media and the narrative they paint about America. Hundreds and thousands of fans for the World Cup are now seeing America through their own eyes, realizing the narrative they've been fed is false. And they're now realizing America is not the place that they thought it was. And I am sorry the media in these countries outside of America paints you the way they do. America is rich in culture, scenery, the people are amazing. And the media in the countries outside of America paint this weird narrative that it's a place that you shouldn't go. But now the tides are changing. There is a shift that is happening. And I'm sorry you've been painted in this light for so long. And I'm so happy America is finally receiving the flowers that it deserves. We've all seen the videos of the Europeans experiencing America for what it truly is, and it's amazing. When I first landed in America all those years ago, I came with an open mind. I saw it through my own eyes, and it's exactly what is happening right now with all the travelling fans for the World Cup and the foreigners. They are seeing America through their own eyes, and they're realising how amazing it actually is.
Well, the time has come. It's time to leave the United States once again and go back to Scotland. I'm not going to lie. As much as I'm going to miss being back here in the US and how much I've loved being here, I cannot wait to get home, to see the kiddos, and to eat some Scottish food. Again, I missed my Scottish foods. So yeah, we're about to leave for the airport, and before you know it, 24 hours later, I'll be over in a jiffy, and I'll be home back in Scotland. America, I love you. God bless.
I'm flying back to LA today and I just can't stop crying. I don't want to go. I had such an amazing trip. I've met so many amazing people. I felt so loved. Obviously with my mom. It's just it's been so good. And I don't want to leave.
What was your biggest
American people are some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet in your life. I've been in Nashville now for 3 days. I'll get in a lift. I should say elevator. When I get in an elevator, oh, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And they just want to chat to you. And it's not even just like those little like awkward conversation areas like in the UK, you just look in another direction. Everywhere. Like you walk down the street and someone will be like, oh, hey, where are you from? And being from the UK, that is something that you never ever experience. People want to avoid you at all costs and they don't want to speak to you. Yet being in America, everybody just kind of wants to know what's going on, who you are, why are you here? And it's really nice. I think it's a really nice community. It brings your confidence up. Like to be around people like that, it makes you feel more confident. And it makes me appreciate America. I think American people are great. So yeah, I do really like American people. I do love American people. I will give American people shit online. It's funny and it's easy to do. However, American people are way friendlier than people in the UK.
A really disorienting place to be is coming back home after living abroad for a long time, because at least when you were abroad, it made sense that you didn't feel like you belonged. But going back home and feeling that is even more difficult, because on the surface, everything is the same. Your hometown is the same, your friends are the same, the places you grew up in are still there, but you're not the same person anymore. And that mismatch feels like a reverse cultural shock, because the way people talk, the pace of life, the assumptions everyone still shares about you and the world, things that used to feel normal now feel weird and foreign. Even small things like speaking in your own native language can sometimes feel unnatural, or at least it does so to me sometimes. And what makes it even more difficult is that not that nothing is actually wrong, it's just that you have changed. You've had experiences that shifted your perspective. You've seen different ways of living, different definitions of normal. And you come back and you realize that your home isn't anchoring you anymore. And we start questioning ourselves, do I still belong here? Did I outgrow this place? Or did I just outgrow who I used to be in it? But I don't think the answer is necessarily that moving either direction was a mistake. I think people change, whether they leave or they stay. Time passes, life moves forward, and even the people who never left are still evolving in their own way. And I think part of learning to live with this is accepting that we don't really go back to anything the same way we left it. And maybe the goal isn't to feel like there is only one place for us, but to take everything that we've learned along the way, use those tools, and trust that we're better for it.
You know why I love the World Cup so much is because of all of the videos that have been coming up on my For You page of people across cultures sharing with each other, like all of the Koreans in Mexico that have been having so much fun, and all of the videos. I voy a llorar. All of the videos of the Japanese people trying In and Out for the first time, or European tourists going to a Trader Joe's, like the World Cup is so special for that reason, because with all that we hate on each other nowadays and all of like the terrible things going on in the world, the World Cup brings people together in a way that not many things do. Can we have the World Cup every year, please?
This is what I love about Americans. You are just so friendly, just so friendly. I mean, I'm sure you can get your angry side, but you're just so friendly, always complimenting my hair. And yesterday, I was at your Walmart. You've got self-checkout. I can just scan my own stuff and and get my own change. I can just do everything myself. But you are so friendly. I was there at Walmart yesterday and I didn't know which brand of a product to buy. And I asked someone. I didn't even ask someone that worked there. I asked another person that was also doing shopping, and she was just so friendly. She just Googled the reviews for me and told me what to get and what not to get. I'm just like, God, this is just America. This is America for you. Also, what should I try while I am in America? If I go to Walmart, what should I buy? What is something I have to try? What is your favorite thing to buy in Walmart? What is a food that I need to try? I mean, I want to try something in America, except for beating the speed limit and beating my GPS arrival time.
One of the craziest things about being an American, living in Germany, and then coming back to the US just to visit is like the culture shock that I have of seeing everything in the US. I'm Jonathan, an American that's been living in Germany the past 10 years. I posted up videos talking about all the differences between the two countries every day. So if you can go ahead and give me a follow, I'd be very grateful. So like I was saying, I'm in the US right now, visiting my parents. They're in Texas, and everything is bigger in Texas, like for reals. Like, I mean, look at this fridge. Like, look how gigantic this is. Like, this is like a boom. Look at all this shit. That's Texas, baby. USA. Like, the thing is fucking huge. That's just the freezer. Then you have like the fridge. Boom, 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 boom. This is the eggs. Like, look at all that. Boom, boom. This is the milk. Like look at these grapes. Like, good God, applesauce. Like, look at this. It's crazy. And it's always like a shock to me when I come back here, like, oh yeah, everything is just big and like loud and like gigantic. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It's more just kind of fun where it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of nice. So anyways, for the Americans that are living in Germany, like, yeah, what is your perception of like sizes and stuff? For the Europeans out there, especially, yeah, what do you think about everything bigger in the US and everything, especially in Texas? Let me know in the comments. Peace out.
Has any European who's gone to the US and then come back to their home country had a reverse culture shock in which you actually missed an aspect of being in the US? I promise I'm not just trying to inflate the American ego, I do have a point. I was recently talking with a Spanish friend of mine yesterday, and listen to what he said about his last trip to LA.
Right, so Americans are very crazy. At the supermarket, they start to talk to you. Now, that's very weird because, like, in Spain, no one talks to anyone on supermarket. For me, it's hard to be here. I don't know.
And as you can clearly tell from this video, we were just goofing off. Like, I literally just put the camera in front of his face and said, say something, record. But the point he brought up actually made me think. Because anyone I've ever talked to about their experience of going to and coming back from the US has always said the same thing. They thought the social encounters between them and Americans were super fake. And now this guy is saying that he's actually going to miss part of the social encounters of being in the US because he prefers it to being in Spain. In LA nonetheless. But this does leave me with the overarching question of, do you as Spanish people or you as Europeans, whoever's watching this, do you actually experience reverse culture shocks of things that you miss about the US upon coming back home? Or is there really nothing you would take from our society?
I've been talking a lot about the things I miss about studying in America, but one thing very recently has stood out to me as possibly the most significant. A lot of you might know I'm a journalism student, and a big part of what I do is going out and interviewing the public about their opinions on social or political events going on right now. And during my time in America, that was such an easy job because everyone was friendly, they'd be happy to speak, they were happy to share their opinions. Here in the UK, everyone is so reserved, and I forgot how bad it was. Whilst I was out in the States, it was really easy. I could speak to 3 people that I needed for differing opinions. I would get them within 5 minutes and the job would be done. This week I went out to go and get some for the first time in ages in the UK, and it literally took me about an hour and a half to get 3 people to give their opinions. For some reason, here in the UK, when you try and get someone's opinion, you've got a microphone, you've got a camera that's not set up, not filming them, but you're asking them to be on camera. They don't want to talk. We're a very reserved bunch here in the UK. And I don't know, I miss it. It makes my job harder, and I wish we were as friendly and as optimistic as people seem to be in the United States.
I'm not eating this. No. What do you mean? It's beans and toast. You love beans and toast. Ew. I want a cheeseburger with ranch. We don't have ranch. Stop saying you want ranch. Stop asking people. I want ranch and I want french fries. You mean chips? No, french fries, and I also want it with ice cream. I want to dip my french fries in the ice cream. Dude, you lost your mind. We're not doing that. Yes, we are. Bring burgers to Europe.
I don't know who ever said Americans were unfriendly. I've literally been in Texas for a while now, and I have never received more compliments in my entire life. Literally just walking down the street with this shirt on, and I was getting complimented by so many people. It is madness.
Americans, you were right. This heat is no joke. I've just been to the Atlanta Fan Fest, and look at me. I look like a state. It is bad. I was stood in the shade and I was sweating profusely down my back. Honestly, don't know how I'm going to survive this summer. If you have any suggestions, throw them in the comments. And if you want to see my adventures in the US, drop me a follow.
Hot take, Europeans are actually being lied to. We have been told our whole lives that American friendliness is fake or shallow. But I've been living in the Midwest for more than a decade, and I realized we're just wrong. European me used to see a stranger's smile as a literal threat. I'm not kidding. Back in Czech, if you're nice, people assume you want a vote from them or something, anything. We call our attitude that we're just being real, but now I'm realizing it's exhausting to be mad your whole life. I'm at the checkout line, and these 2 women behind me, talking about business they've just lost. Back in Czech, everyone would tell you, we've told you so. It would be a family tragedy and people would never try again. But here, one of them, she just shrugs it off and didn't work, I appreciate a lesson, I'll come up with something else. Then they just switch topics and they talk about their kids. So I'm standing there like, wait, we're not gonna spend the rest of your year being depressed. Okay. Some Americans are always apologizing for being too much. But from the outside, it is not too much. It's actually just freedom. I'm realizing that moving on isn't shallow. It is just like refusing to stay down. You guys literally hacked the system. I wasn't born to be this optimistic, but I'm obsessed with this. I'm loving this. And I blame Ohio for this.
So I've just returned to the UK from a wonderful trip. I'm super lucky. I've been away. But it's that fear back to the reality of the UK that makes the return so bad because, on arrival back, so I flew into Stansted and it was disorganized chaos. The minute literally, as I stepped off the plane, you knew I was back in the UK. There were, you know how we love a bit of tape here to tape off areas. You know, you make your way through the slalom of tape everywhere. It was chaos getting off the plane. You know, the stairs didn't arrive, nothing worked. Both the escalators were out. So everyone was having to go up the stairs. You know, you got old people struggling with luggage. And I just thought, wow, really back in the UK where nothing works. And then, you know, as you're coming through and then another plane kind of exits at the same time and you're all crushed into a corridor, all kind of walking along together to get to the passport control. Somehow coming off of a plane that I met was a guy who was so drunk. This guy could barely walk. He's stumbling, he's swearing, he's calling everyone expletives. This guy's just got off a plane. And I'm like, only in the UK could this happen. He's then sort of congregated with a load of school kids that that have been away on a trip. He's then saying to the kids all these swear words. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then he was escorted off by someone, you know, no doubt. The funny thing was, we're all queuing, you know, to get through passport control. The guy who was drunk and is swearing was escorted round. You know, he got to the passport control first before the rest of us mugs that were queuing up because he was drunk and disorderly. No doubt he got escorted out, got given a taxi that they probably paid for to take him back to whatever hovel he'd come out of. You know, so it's things like that. And it's just the feeling of being trapped in the UK. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm imprisoned here because since Brexit, you know, we're only allowed to go to Europe for 90 days. We're no longer left with the option to move there. And my God, most of us want to get out of this absolute crap hole that we're all living in. And it's just that feeling of just, you know, being so trapped and controlled. It's just the most awful, awful feeling. And, you know, I've said in my other videos, I used to love the UK. When I was younger, it was like the best place to grow up. You know, it was just wonderful. And I loved going to London. Who the hell wants to go to London now? I watched a programme about a girl who just literally was sitting with her bag in between her feet, having a lunch, you know, young girl. And some complete lowlife came along and just literally, the way they do it, slid it out from beneath her legs and he was gone. And, you know, she was like, you can't, you know, your fear of being shot, stabbed, drug raped, needles in... Like, I've got a child, you know, when she goes out, I've got a fear of her being injected in the back and thrown into the boot of a car and driven off somewhere. What the hell? I just want out. Like, I just want out of this place. And I know that most of us do. It's just, yeah, it's horrible. And the return back from when you've been away and, you know, those places are, everyone's so much more polite. Everyone seems to care about each other more. They care about their environment. You know, they look after where they live. They you know, they're not dirty. Like a lot of people here just don't really give a shit. And I just feel like we live in amongst so many scumbags. Yeah, it's just not a good place to be. And I know that every day, but it's just magnified 100,000 times when you come back from somewhere that is nice. And then you come back here and you realise this place is not nice.
American friendliness is not a thing because it is ingrained in almost every single culture in this world to treat strangers with respect. And that this rudeness that is typically given to strangers in a lot of European society is not actually normal when you compare it to the rest of the world. This idea that being friendly to strangers is disingenuous is not actually rooted in reality. And the fact that so many European people rely on this idea that we hate everyone equally, or a lot of them making the excuse that Americans are only friendly to you because they want something from you, is insane. Because when you look at so many cultures across the world, it is imbued within these cultures to welcome guests, to welcome strangers, to treat people with respect, not only because you want it back, but because it's the right thing to do. And the fact that it's typically relegated to America is so funny because this friendliness that you get in America can't compete with Latin America, the Caribbean. It doesn't come close even to Arab hospitality. And that is the beauty of the world that you will only experience once you get out of this European and American bubble.
The media portrays Americans as rude, lazy, all the above, and it's further from the truth. The amount of hospitality and kindness and care and pride Americans hold is truly like no other country I've been to. And to show you a perfect example of that, today is Flag Day, National Flag Day. And I went to the Huntsville Square. They did the whole ceremony where they lower the flag and I guess put a new flag up for the year. And that was obviously followed by the American national anthem. And it was just so nice to see everyone get their hat, take it off, and respect the country. The communities are so tight-knit together. And whilst I was there, of course, I was noticed because of my online presence now. And everyone came up to me and said, hi, handshakes, how are you? If you have any questions about this or that, let me know. If you want to go hunting, I'll show you this. Not to mention, I've got fantastic neighbours. And they are always coming over to see if I need anything. After specifically living in Arkansas for almost 6 years, I can safely say anyone outside of the US, ignore the media, because this is the best place I've been to. I love living here. I respect the culture here. And I'm so proud to be an American citizen. I'm just so grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to the next 50 years that I have as my life in this country. And hopefully soon I'll be able to travel the country as well and experience all of it, because it's just wonderful.
Think is really sad is how much Americans get hated on, especially by Europeans. Lived in America for a year now, and I actually think that Americans are the most happy, positive, like really nice people ever. Like, really funny because I live in New York and everyone is always like, oh my god, New Yorkers are so mean, people in New York are so mean. But I think like people in New York are just like maybe the least friendly of the Americans, but because they are still American, they are still like really nice people. Examples is when I walk down the street here sometimes, like especially if I'm like on the way to a night out, so many girls will stop me in the street and be like, girl, you look so good. Like I was walking to dinner the last day, some random girl shouted at me, yes girl, I love your strut. And I was like, oh my god, thank you, babe. Like one time I was walking back from the gym and this American girl stopped me and she was like, okay girl, I see you, you're in the gym. Like just so randomly all the time. At home, I don't think a random girl has ever complimented me in the street once. So I think the American culture is very uplifting and very positive. And whenever I talk to Americans, they're always asking me like, why did I move to America? What am I doing here? And whenever I tell them like why I moved, like what my goals are, they're so encouraging. They're like, I am so proud of you. You're doing amazing. Like, how amazing is it that you left and you moved here? Like, you're gonna have a great life. That's always the attitude that people have. It's very uplifting and very positive. And I think in Europe, a lot of people have a very negative attitude, especially towards other success. People like do not want you to be doing anything different. They don't want you to be going outside of the box. They want you to stay in the box that they made for you. Huge reason as to why a lot of Americans are very successful and a lot of like the richest people in the world are American is because the attitude here is just so different to anywhere else. It's really sad how much Americans get hated on, but actually it just makes sense because miserable people like just want other people to be miserable. Or another thing I notice is obviously because I'm Irish and I live in America, sometimes people will comment on my posts, oh my god, I could never live in America. Who wants to live in America? Why would you ever go there? I'm like, please don't come here. Like, we just don't need that negativity here. Like, we're keeping up the positive vibes. Crazy the disdain that people have towards Americans. Also, like, so many of my friends in college were American and they're still like my best friends to this day. And I made like so many new American friends since I moved to New York. And older as well, I've realized now, like looking back, I was honest to God conditioned into hating Americans. Like when I used to work in a restaurant in Ireland, when Americans would come in, everyone would be like, ugh, Americans. And now looking back on it, like, you know, they were always the nicest people. They always tipped extremely well. Like they always asked like what I was doing, very friendly. So, I feel like now I was like tricked into hating them. Like it was propaganda. I was brainwashed into hating Americans from a young age. And the story, I think, is if you're a European who hates Americans, I invite you to examine your bias against them and really look into like why you hate them. Do you hate them for a good reason or do you hate them because you were brainwashed into hating them?